Monday, October 14th, one game down for the United States men's national team. Another game to go friendly against Mexico Tuesday night. 5 big-time players have left the squad. What do we care about Tuesday's game after all the
Yeah, this is the thing, Robert. Excitement level was entirely based on Pochettino making his debut on Saturday against Panama and Austin.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know that I had formulated my expectation level for the game against Mexico in Guadalajara. I mean, here's the thing: what it had going for it was the fact it was in Mexico.
Yeah.
When do we play Mexico in Mexico except for World Cup qualifiers? And as we know, there will be no World Cup qualifiers ahead of 2026. So, okay, we're going down to Mexico. No, it's not the Azteca. Like, it's not the vaunted citadel of Mexican football. It is it OmniLife Stadium now? I don't remember what they call it. It's the one in Guadalajara that Chivas plays in. Estadio something. That's interesting. Of course, we already knew coming in, no Gio, no Wea, no Dest. These guys were missing. These guys were out injured, and it was going no Balagun. It was going to be no Chris Richards. I'll just keep adding to the list. That was always going to make it kind of like, okay, well, what is this, and how should we feel about it? This is not going to give us an opportunity to see the best team the United States can put on the field, and that gives you a little bit of trepidation because as rough as things have been for Mexico, it's still Mexico. Right? We still know that they can absolutely beat the United States on their best day. I think that the domination that the Americans have had against Mexico is a function of more Mexico than it is the U.S., but I do see that there's talent there, and they have the capability, especially at home, where they're going to be playing for an immense amount of pride. They have the fan base when they come to the U.S., but here it's on home soil. And I don't think the Mexican media is going to be too thrilled if they put in a poor showing in their home country against the United States. But now, with as you mentioned, more players leaving national team camp because of injury or because of concerns about those. That's the thing. You're putting up the scare quotes, right? The idea is maybe this is a little bit like, well, they could have played if they're not really hurt, but why do this? Why push them? I think, I mean, and this is the stuff that Pochettino has to deal with now. That is the learning curve about international football. And you can't put it on him, right? You can't say, well, why is Pochettino letting them leave? There is, if they are not truly injured, he can say, this is a window. We have every right to call up the players. The teams have to release them. There's no, this is not up to you, Juventus. This is not up to you, AC Milan. This is not up to you. These other guys, the teams that they play. It is up to us as a national team. He could do that. But is that the right thing to do for that player's status with his club, for the relationship that you have with those teams? I mean, Pochettino, that's one thing he brings to the table that I think is fascinating is whenever he picks up the phone and calls a club, they're going to listen because it's Mauricio Pochettino. He has the respect of everybody in world football. But you don't want to burn that good cred by saying, no, Christian's going to stay with us and play in Mexico in a game that could get chippy depending on the intensity level. I know it's a friendly, but it's still Mexico and the rivalry. And I imagine that's what Fonseca in that case and Thiago Mata in McKennie's case or whoever else is saying. Like, whoa, hold on. What are you going to do? How many points are on the table? None? Game means nothing? Why are my guys doing this?
Yeah, and Pochettino's fresh out of being on the other side of that phone call, right? I mean, he was the guy that was having to deal with players coming and going from his club side. And now he's on the other side. And to your point of his status and connections, giving a little bit more leeway, because on the opposite end, maybe he's on the coach with Fonseca, one of those other coaches. And it would really be great. And I think he would get a lot out of staying and playing this other game that coach for the club side for the player might be more receptive to, but and also in the long run or on the opposite side, he would be more willing to like, hey, you know what? No points on the line. You're right.
Yeah.
The player can go back and being fit and, ready to go for the next club match next weekend. He I feel like he has a pretty darn good perspective.
Yeah, he's
not going to forget
how much he's had to deal with it in the past. This is the long view, right? This is looking down the road and recognizing that the juice is not worth the squeeze in the moment, forcing these guys to go through the paces, even of training. Now, apparently McKennie was hurt enough that he wasn't even available to play against Panama, which is a big disappointment for me. I would have loved to have seen him play in
Yeah.
Pochettino's midfield. But of course, you take into consideration the other players who are missing, and again, the value now drops. And so this is the frustration. Like, oh my gosh, new era, new coach, so exciting. Wait, how many players are missing? Oh, okay. What's now? Other players are now. Pulisic's leaving. I mean, Pulisic is the one, right? Pulisic is leaving, and then Fossey, who didn't play against Panama, McKennie, who didn't play against Panama, Pepe, who scored in Austin. Would be nice to see him get a chance to play in Mexico,
Yeah,
considering
for
his
sure.
roots and everything else. And Zach Steffen, who did not play against Panama, but I think there was this sense that he was working his way back in, and now he's leaving too. And it's like, okay, well, look, I'm still going to watch because I'm committed. I'm a national team fan, right? I care very much. And I think that if you're looking for the silver lining, and this is what we're going to do, we're going to look for the silver lining. As Connor says, could be a big game for Aronson and Morris. I expect both those players to have a big role, right? Aiden Morris started, played against Panama. Brendan Aronson started, played against Panama. I think they could get at least an hour each. I think fitness-wise, they're both at that level. You know, you do also, and even if you don't send a player home because of a minor injury, Robert, you still have this. Well, do we really want to send them out there for 150 minutes of soccer in games that don't actually mean anything before they go back to their club teams, where again they will be back into the grinder. In the case of Aronson, trying to get Leeds up. In the case of Aiden Morris, trying to get Middlesbrough up. I mean, you want to do that as a coach? These are the questions Pochettino has to ask and answer. And if it means that the team we put on the field against Mexico is almost a C team, I don't know if that's quite possible. But if it's not a great team relative to our top-level talent and we lose 2-0, what will we think about it? Like, what will we think about it? I don't know. I don't know how I will process that on Wednesday morning.
It is a friendly, but it is against Mexico. So you're in that position of push-pull of like, it's important because the opponent, but it's a friendly and half the team is gone. But it would be a shame in a game such as this to lose that 7-game unbeaten run against Mexico. I mean, that's just when you see that stat come up on the broadcast on Saturday, I can't say that, that didn't give a little bit of a tingle of a good feeling to just see that written down and see that on the broadcast that the United States has not lost to Mexico in 7 attempts. That seems unimaginable just a few years ago. Maybe before that Nations League win in Colorado a few years back, that really was a major turning point for the two programs. But of the players that had an opportunity on Saturday that were kind of like out of the lineup and that got a chance to come back in, the Busio, a Morris, and a Pepe, who do you think came back to the team and did their best?
Well, I mean, scoring a goal is always going to get you attention. I still don't know that Ricardo Pepi looks like a starter in this team, and I know we've had in the chat people suggesting that Sargent was once again disappointing. He had some moments, but he wasn't great. I'm not saying that he jumped off the screen when I'm watching the game. I thought Aiden Morris was Aiden Morris. Right? I think you just wind him up. He's like one of those toys. You wind him up, he's just going to go and do his thing, and it's going to be pretty much the same thing every single time he steps on the field. So I'm excited to see perhaps him get that opportunity. I don't know what formation Pochettino will roll out there. Again, Tim Ream is 37 years old. Yep. He went 90 minutes against Panama. He might not be your starting center back in 2026. In fact, the odds are stacked against him. I know we talked about this already, but the odds are stacked against him. And I that opinion about whether or not Ream should be in the lineup was a major part of Saturday night, right? Because if you don't think he's going to be your starter in 2026, you don't think he's going to be a major factor, why is he taking minutes away from somebody younger than him who could be in the game? I don't think he's going to start against Mexico. That'd be my gut. I think logically, we're talking about a different center back pairing. We're talking about, Fossey's gone, so it feels like Scally has to play, right, at right back. Robinson played 67 minutes. Lund came on after that. I could see them flip-flopping with this game in Mexico. Busio was fine. He played 67 minutes as well. Tanner Tessman came in. I wasn't super impressed with Tessman, but it was limited in terms of his influence on the game. Maybe Tessman gets the start. But again, these are like, we just don't know because the makeup of the squad is weird, and it's a new coach who might be looking for things we're not aware of yet.
I'm curious to see, just because where they're playing it and the amount of time they've played, will Zendejas and Vasquez get any minutes, do you think?
Yeah, it's possible. I think that's possible. I mean, Haji came on in the 67th minute. So Pepe and Haji Wright came on for Sargent and Aronson. It was Pepe who was playing through the middle more than Haji Wright. Haji obviously a little bit more versatile that way. You would think that of the guys who didn't play, that Brandon Vasquez would be in line for that. It's possible. Yeah, it's very possible that's again, you have 11 guys on the field to start. You make all 6 substitutions that you're allowed to. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys on the bench, right? We didn't see that. We know that McKennie's not going to play. He's gone. We didn't see Miles. We didn't see Austin Trusty. We didn't see, obviously, the 2 goalkeepers. I'm not sure that maybe we get a different goalkeeper in this game, but it's not like you're thinking about that too much. We didn't see Vasquez. Those guys could be in line to play major minutes. I would expect so.
And one more point to your Tim Ream, definitely. That's probably the thing I feel the firmest about, is he probably shouldn't get any time. I had a few people over. We watched the game. We put the projector up and had a few folks over to watch. And the biggest reaction of the night was every time Ream had the ball, there was some grumbles of, why is he in the team?
Wow.
And he shouldn't be here if we're trying to build towards 2026.
Disrespectful, Robert. Respect your elders. I mean, they're not your elders, or he's not your elder, but come on.
Barely.
Give the man his love. He's like the wizened old tree from Lord of the Rings. I don't know.
To be fair, I was the voice. I was like, there has to be some sort of veteran leadership in this team. And they were like, no, get rid of him. I was like, but he's stability for the new coach.
Yeah. I think this is not to say, and certainly Berhalter never got this kind of grace, but I think we have to be in Pochettino we trust for the moment. Right?
Yeah,
for the moment, the book is so empty of information that he has to fill, that we just have to trust that he knows what he's looking for, and that he's going to go about it the right way to get the information needed to build this team to play the best possible soccer in 2026. It's all we can do. We are at the altar of Pochettino, and I wish I had one of those gourds that they showed. You see that in pregame, the mate gourds. I don't even drink mate, but I want one of those gourds. That looked badass. Anyway, continue.
So USA travels to Guadalajara Tuesday night, 10:30 Eastern time. Let's stay up late for that.